Hello, it's Debbie Gilbert here from the Business Awards show, and I'm also the founder of the Best Business Women Awards. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Sue Keogh from Sookio. She is a marketing and communications expert and has had her business for over 16 years. She's won multiple awards. She's also the judge of the National Business Women Awards and has lots and lots of experience of awards to share with us today. So welcome, Sue.
Hello.
Lovely to see you again, because we met a few years ago because you were a
Yes.
finalist in the Best Business Women
Yeah,
Awards.
yeah, really great event. Yeah.
Oh, lovely to see you today. We've been trying to catch up for a while because I feel like you are somebody who is really at the forefront of awards and you really know your stuff. So it's good to get you on the show to talk about your experience of awards, not just as a winner, finalist, but also as a judge. But we always start our show by talking about the journey, because you've had a very interesting journey in life. So let's go back to the beginning, Sue. Talk
Okay.
about what you did first of all, and then what led you to your business 16 years ago.
Okay, well, there's a real communications thread that just runs through everything that I do. So I did a degree in communication studies in Spanish, and then after that, I went into radio. So my earlier career is all broadcast media, really. So I worked for this really brilliant independent radio production company who did pretty much kind of 95% of everything we did was for Radio 2. So I was working on documentaries, a series with Kirsty McCall on Cuban music. I helped produce the country show. So I feel like I've got a degree in country music in a weird way. Worked on the show for 3 years and then began to run the BBC's country music website, which was my first move into things that were digital. And then after that, I went to itv.com where I was project manager. And then I was homepage editor for Yahoo and then AOL. So covering lots and lots of breaking news from races and rows in a Big Brother house to getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, trying to summarize what had happened in the Ashes overnight, that kind of thing. The death of Saddam Hussein, the London bombings, so I was doing the homepage content on that day. So lots of breaking news. And then I went freelance, and this is very much around the time that social media was first springing up. So I was really fascinated by everything that was going on and got very active on Twitter myself, started to manage people's social media accounts, started to do training on it as well, because people were thinking, oh, hang on, she seems to know what she's talking about. Perhaps she can train us. But then as well, I was also producing content. So I was writing website copy for people, managing their content. And so it started out in this very much kind of communications focused way, as in working with people like the BBC who create content for like good purposes, if you like. But then over my career, it's gone in a slightly more kind of marketing focus, commercial focus. So I began to take on more, I suppose, B2B clients, and this agency began to form. So whereas other agency owners, I think there's two types of people. You either get up in the morning and think, right, I'm forming an agency. So often people split off from Ogilvy or wherever, and they think, right, we're going to go it alone and form our own agency. Or like me and a lot of other people out there, you're really good at what you do, and you keep on generating more business, and then this thing kind of forms itself.
That's mine. That's what happened to me.
Yeah. And along the way, I've had a lot of things that have hit me quite hard. So, 2 redundancies that were that led to this. So with ITV, I was made redundant there. That was the second time being made redundant. But I also realised in the same week that I was pregnant as well. So so it wasn't. So they didn't know when they made me redundant. So it's not one of those situations. But I've had all of this sort of stuff in the background as well. Losing both my parents in a fairly short space of time, and then running the business, building the business against a backdrop of things that have been really quite difficult to deal with, But yeah, so Sookio, the agency, developed very much as a content creation agency in the earlier years. Lots of website copy, lots of social media management. But then over the years, we've become more strategic, and doing more targeted paid campaigns, that kind of thing.
So talk about what you've been doing recently, because you've had quite a major change with the business recently, haven't you?
Yeah, so things really expanded and accelerated for us during the pandemic era. And so the team, there were about 10 of us all together, and we went into the pandemic really tight, really, it was like this kind of slick, well-oiled machine. And we kept on generating more and more business. So people were moving their budgets over to digital, and they were coming to a company like ours so they could see we're really well established. So we picked up some brilliant campaigns for like the Cambridge University Museums Group. We did lots of high street recovery campaigns with district councils and that kind of thing. And then, so that's a couple of years ago. And then more recently, I was really feeling like, okay, things are going well, but it's really time for a change. And there's three factors. One of these is the industry itself, which I felt had matured to the point where, if you look at social media, for example, that's now influencer marketing agencies, paid campaign agencies, Facebook paid campaign agencies, analytics agencies, all that kind of thing. Whereas we were doing social media and copywriting and video, and it felt like we were too broad. And then the recession, has forced me to make different decisions about how we're structured as a team and how we deliver our services. And then also personally for me, I started to feel like, you know what, I just want to start doing something else, because I'd been doing this for so long. And there's various things that I want to achieve, like I want to start maybe doing a master's, or maybe just changing my whole kind of work-life balance, that kind of thing. And so all these three things came together. And so I've now pivoted to become a communications consultancy, focusing on consultancy split into three areas: audit, strategy, and consultancy to senior leadership teams, and then training as well. And then around this, I can pull in this amazing army of specialists that I've got, from photographers to social media managers to web designers and that kind of thing. So it's now me. So a one-woman communications consultancy, but keeping all the bits that I'm, that are really my strengths, and enabling me to do the sort of work that I really want to do. So it was a bit of a mic drop moment when I put this out on LinkedIn. Loads of people like, what? Where did that come from? But I can't articulate it enough how I just knew it was time. Everything, all these different areas of my life came together. And although for people outside looking in, it was a bit kind of where did that come from? There were so many things for me that came together all in one intense moment that once I made the decision, I just couldn't look back.
No. And sometimes we need to refresh, reset, and go forward, because being in business a long time, it can get a bit kind of monotonous, a bit stale, or a bit like, I don't know. You just need that. Let's talk about Twitter, because I hadn't realised you used to do training on it, because we're thinking of deleting our Twitter account. What do you think?
Twitter.
Are you still on it? Are you still using it?
I love Twitter. I really love Twitter. And for me, in the earlier years when I was doing the freelance working from home way before, before it became fashionable, if you like. And so for me, it was this amazing outlet where I could chat to people, and because my background is very editorial, journalism and copywriting and editorial stuff, then it was I love being able to say concise, witty things in 140 characters. And that was all going well, and it was really a really good platform for us. We've made so many good connections. My kids just fell over the other day when I told them that Barack Obama follows me.
Wow.
He followed a lot of people back when he first, it's not just me. But so for things like that, I feel like, I don't want to ditch it. And it all was going well. And then bloody Elon Musk took over.
I know.
And has just ruined the whole thing. And all the stuff that's happened more recently with, no one that owns any sort of media platform should be meddling in the politics on the platform.
I agree.
Seeing him, not just enabling these far-right organizations to flourish on Twitter, but actually,
stoking the fire, yes,
is abominable, and they should not be doing that. the social media platforms, they've always been very careful to say we're not publishers. So then they can't, they can't be sued for anything. They're saying we're not a publisher. What is put out there is not, it's not us. We're not accountable. But when you've actually got the guy at the top that's in charge of it, that owns it, actually publishing this, it's appalling. However, I also feel like Meta is just as bad.
Yeah.
This is not making me want to move wholesale to Threads, or we kind of use Facebook a bit. I don't really update my own Facebook, haven't done for years. Instagram I still love. So I gotta say, I'm kind of sitting on the fence for a little bit with it. But engagement levels have gone down,
massively, and that's
yeah,
what we did a big
yeah,
assessment this week, and
yeah,
because obviously it's a resource, you've still got to put somebody in your team doing your
yeah,
tweets, and I've got one of my team, part of her job is the social media posts for the awards and a few other accounts
yeah,
that are still on Twitter. And it was that thing where you sort of thought, like I started using it when it virtually began, loved it, got a decent following on it,
yeah,
was getting clients from it. We were definitely getting leads to our
yeah,
website from it, but
yeah,
it has dropped off dramatically.
yeah,
To the point where you sort of think, well, is this something that we can just delete and walk away from now?
yeah,
Because he seems to have a big hold on it. He's not going to sell it.
yeah.
And the whole rebrand to X, I just didn't get it. I don't get it.
In marketing terms, if you've got a brand name that is such a household name
Yeah.
that it's actually a verb,
Yeah.
to tweet,
Uh,
that wasn't there before,
no.
and that is the brand. And
Yeah.
even now, I mean, it's a year on. Even now, I still, and you hear, say if it's discussed on Sky or BBC News, they still say X, or formerly known as Twitter. I mean, it's ludicrous chucking that out there. Just why would you do that? It's like gold.
I don't know. I don't understand his thought
Yeah,
process. And like you, I'm not a fan of what he's doing in terms of, the stuff he was talking about with Keir Starmer the other day, and the
yeah,
whole meddling. And to me, that's inciting some of the things that
yes.
are going on.
It's
And
irritating.
that's sort of the decision that as a business we have to make, whether we stand with that or whether we delete it and walk away from it. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
kind of like, that's what I'm grappling with a little bit
Well, this is the
is,
challenge for
yeah.
brands now. So in the earlier years when I was first on social media and working in this area, the challenge was, okay, Facebook has suddenly appeared. So how do we do well on Facebook? Or Twitter's here. Okay, how do we write tweets? How do we get engagement? And then gradually, okay, what do we do on Instagram? Oh, look, Pinterest. Oh, should we be on TikTok? So the earlier years was very much, should I be on this platform and how do I get engagement from it? And then it moved to, oh God, there's so many platforms. How do I cope? So then the advice becomes just pick one or two and do them really well. You don't have to be on TikTok, and TikTok can be brilliant, but don't worry about, you could just do Instagram Reels, for example. You don't have to be on everything. So people then say, thank God, thank you for telling me that. But the challenge now is different. So say Cambridge University, who we do a lot of work with, they've got multiple channels for different colleges and the main university channels as well. So the challenge now is not what should I be on, but we've got 100,000 followers. We can't just switch. We can't just say, oh, we're going to go to Blue Sky or Threads, or we can't just move wholesale, and we also can't just make snap decisions like that, because it takes a while to build up communities.
It
And
does.
that's the challenge. Everyone's got all of these established communities, and if you suddenly say, well, yeah, we're going to be on this new thing that started up, then you just lose all your followers, because who can be bothered?
Yeah, and I do see that, but I also think that we might have, I don't know what it is, 7 or 8,000 followers
Yeah,
for the
yeah,
awards, but how many of those are still using the platform, we don't know. And we can
yeah,
only
yeah,
look at our analytics and think, well, actually we're getting views now of like 25 people on a tweet or whatever it
yeah,
is.
yeah,
And it's just not a lot compared to what it used to be. And what was interesting to us, because we asked for people's social media accounts when they complete the award entry, and what over the 10 years that we've run the Best Business Women Awards, we can see now that there's only a very small percentage of people that have Twitter accounts now.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really has dropped off a cliff
Mm,
compared to
mm,
what it was.
mm,
I mean,
mm.
I like Instagram, but I don't think it has the same kind of features that Twitter had
I
in terms
know.
of lead generation. That's just
Yeah.
my view.
Yeah.
Um,
In the chatty nature.
yeah,
Well, I mean, I must say for awards events themselves, then Instagram is so powerful.
yeah, it
And
is.
you're there at the awards and you're taking pictures and you think, oh, I just want to put this on Instagram, you know. And that's really nice. I really
Yeah, I mean, Instagram gets us the biggest reach on the night,
yeah,
without a doubt. It
yeah,
used to be Twitter in the early days.
yeah, yeah,
It was Twitter and Facebook,
yeah,
and we put on the night, we put stuff out on Twitter and Facebook,
yeah.
and Instagram. But this year, we're sort of thinking we're just going to potentially just do Instagram and
Mm,
Facebook
mm,
because we're just not getting the traction
yeah,
from Twitter. And I have three separate members of staff doing each platform.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So on the night, I'm starting to think, is there
yeah.
any point in having that person
But
doing
it's
that?
maybe still good to announce them, isn't it? That's quite
Mm.
handy. But yeah, no, I've got really fond memories of your awards. They're really good
Oh,
evenings. I met such lovely people and and the venue was great. And yeah, it's really lovely.
oh,
So,
thank you. Well, that dovetails quite nicely to talk about awards.
yeah.
So you've had this, been in business for 16 years now. So when did awards first appear on your radar? Or was it something because of your background in the media that you were aware of already when you came to set up your own business?
Yeah, I think so. And also I think because I've always got a bit of a marketing mindset or a communications mindset, then I've always understood the power of it. But then also I think it was a moment of pride for me when the business got to the level that I felt like, I could actually enter an award for this. It felt like another step forward, like another rung up the ladder. Um, yeah, and so that's to be at that point was really nice. And when we won the service excellence at the in fact, have I got it here in my desk? I think I have. Have I? I've got a couple of them because I've just moved office. Oh no, that's one of them.
Oh,
um, so when we won that one, that was also a moment of pride because that was the first time that I'd been able to have a table for us as a company, and we brought a client as well. So awards to me, they have marked those kind of, they've been like milestones, I suppose, in our business progress.
mm.
So it's not just a kind of the ego boost and stuff like that. I think to me, it's always felt like it's a mark of where we are as a business, the fact that we can even enter them.
Mm.
So yeah, yeah.
So what made you decide to step into the world of judging?
Well, they asked me actually, and then also there was a point I entered it was something like the Best British Business Awards or something. I don't know what it was. It was quite prestigious, and it was at a nice hotel in Hyde Park. And I remember wearing this really lovely sparkly play suit number. The awards they started in the afternoon, so that meant I was dressed a bit like, what do you like, the walk, it felt like the walk of shame. I was busy in this sparkly jumpsuit type thing, very short, traveling down from Ely to London in the middle of the afternoon. But anyway, and I remember meeting in the loos there one of the judges, and she just came across as so sort of together. Like she's got it together, like she knew what she's doing. And I remember thinking, oh, that's quite a nice thing to do, isn't it? She seemed very well respected. And then a few years later, someone just asked me, when I was doing well at the SMEs, they just asked me if I'd like to do it. And I thought, well, yeah, and I thought of this woman. I thought, oh, maybe I can be a bit like her. And the thing is, for me, is that running an agency, I've been in and out of so many other people's businesses my whole career. So my BBC and ITV experience, I've sat in boardrooms, that kind of thing, and in big fancy buildings. But then I've also, through running an agency and doing copywriting for very small businesses, then I've also worked with a lot of one-man bands, just businesses of all levels, different shapes and sizes and structures. And I'm very good at walking into a room and just kind of getting the measure of the place, seeing how it's run, what the company culture is. So when it comes to judging, I feel like I'm looking at them from this perspective of someone who's not just a business owner herself, but can also kind of see where it sits in the great landscape of businesses and how they're run. So yeah, so I've forgotten what your question was. I've just kind of gone.
No, I was talking about how you'd got into the judging. So let's talk about what you're looking for
Yes.
in your entries that you're judging. What sort of things make you go, oh, that's amazing? What sort of things make you go, oh my God?
Yeah, I think, and this isn't cynical, and I don't want it to come across as that, but lots of people have had a tough time, you know, and so people have come back from cancer, or you know, there's been a bereavement, or something awful has happened, you know, but then also a lot of people haven't had that. So I know, I don't know if, I don't want this to sound cold-hearted at all, because I've also had a lot of setbacks, and you know, and I will have mentioned these in awards entries, but I'm also thinking these are business awards.
Yes.
So I'm also looking for businesses that are really well run.
Mm.
So that's the most important thing. So if you've shown resilience through the awful thing that's happened to you, and then that's had a really positive impact on the business, I think that's what I'm looking for. Another thing that I can spot, that there's a thing that's really clear as well, which is that some people are absolutely brilliant and very humble, and they're not very good at writing the award entries. Some people are full of hot air and have never really achieved anything that's benefited the wider society or run a business very well, excuse me, but they're very good at writing awards entries. So you've kind of got to pick through that, you know, and that's quite difficult. Sometimes you can see that the husband has written it, and he is very much, you know, he really, really admires this woman, and that's really nice. And so you're trying to sort of pick through all the glowing praise and really get to the nub of, you know, what's happened here, what's this person done, and really, because I'd love to be able to big up the people that are maybe a bit shy and coming forwards, you know, and make sure that they're the ones that really get celebrated for their achievements.
Yeah, and I think people just don't focus on the business achievements. We see this a lot, and we see people put things like when they're talking about their achievements, they'll put oh, you know, my son got into Cambridge, but that's not their achievement. That's their son's achievement. Or, you know, like laying down a very sort of thick sob story isn't necessarily, like you've just said, going to win points from a judge, because actually, like you said, if you can touch on it, if it's relating to the business, but if it's nothing to do with the business, it doesn't necessarily win you extra marks, does it? Talking about that stuff.
And the way I see that is that you've got to be fair to everybody else. So if there's someone out there who doesn't have a sob story, but is actually running a really well-run business, well-structured, looks after their team, got good processes in place, is really responsive to clients, is delivering really good work, then we need to celebrate that, you know, and it's profitable as well. So can I give you 2 tips? Or I need to share my favorite 2 tips on writing awards entries. So the first one, and this kind of relates to what we were just talking about, it's proof points. So any numbers you can get in there, anything to demonstrate the impact, is really important. And so don't just say that you set up a scheme. Like there was a brilliant one I read once with, she was in the care sector, and during the pandemic, she delivered hampers to her team to sort of say thank you and motivate them and things like that. So what I want to see is, well, what's the size of the team? How many people? You know, what was the cost of the hampers? What was in them? That it's those specifics. You know, what did they say when they received them? How did that impact their work? Did that mean that your staff retention went from, you know, you had a turnover of maybe people only stayed for 3 months, but after you improved your company culture processes, then people stayed for 5 years, you know? So what I want to see is not just you did a nice thing and you're really kind and caring, which is lovely, but what numbers can you attach to that? What outcomes, what impact? And I think that sometimes is the thing that people not forget to do, but they you know, they don't see it as being so important. And if you are someone that's quite shy in shouting about yourself, you don't like blowing your own trumpet, then this is a really handy way to get around it, because you can just do it in a list of bullet points. You know, my major achievements are, you know, this many new clients, or this many new staff, or I don't know, just anything where you can attach numbers. demonstrate outcomes is really good. And one example of how I did that was in the entry for the customer service or service excellence, whatever, when we got the gold, we've always been really good at getting testimonials from people. So in every field, in every box that I had to fill in, I just took a testimonial and I put that first. So it wasn't me talking, it was the voice of someone else. So if there are 5 fields about what we'd done over the last year, then I was kind of using that for each one. And I thought that's quite good.
Yeah.
And
No,
so
it is.
I suggest that to other people.
No, it is.
And it
For
means you're
sure.
not having to say, oh, yeah, everybody says that we're really great, you know, or
Yeah.
clients say that we're really great. It was direct words from other people. So that's one thing, showing proof. And then the next point relates to what I was just saying, actually, which is get the good bits and put them first.
Yeah.
So the sort of temptation or the natural way of doing it is to be very linear. So you say, I first started the business in 2008, and then I expanded the team, and then we moved here, and then we did this. And only then do you talk about the huge, massive, great, brilliant thing that you did. So what I tend to do is write it out in this linear way, how I think, you know, just like, oh yeah, we did that. And then the big, fat, massive thing, I take that and I physically lift it and I plonk it at the beginning. So one of the years where I think it might have been when I got, I keep on getting silver for Business Person of the Year. Instead of gold. And one year I got silver, and there were only two of us in the 2 finalists. So I simultaneously got silver, but came last as well. Really funny. Anyway, and that was the year that our building nearly burnt down.
Oh my
So there was
goodness.
a huge fire two buildings down from us, this electrical shop. And the one in between us, which was an optometrist, was completely gutted. It was so just ruined by smoke and water damage that it took them a year to open. And our building, we were in an old bank building, which is at the end of this row of shops. So we were a lot more sort of solidly constructed, you know, like bank buildings are, like lots of stone. So we were closed for a month. This is pre-pandemic, like a warm-up. But we yeah, but it was, you know, that had a big impact. So rather than leaving that right till the end, then I put that right in the opening sentences and said something like, when I stood outside my building that had nearly burnt down, and I thought about this, and this, something, resilient, something business lesson, you know, so something. So I didn't spend half an hour leading up to that point. It was there. So any judge reading that would have seen that and thought, bloody hell, she's had a lot on her plate in the last year. But then also in the whole sob story thing, I didn't want to say, oh, woe is me. Oh, I had this. Oh, it's so difficult. Oh, you know, there was a business point to be made, which is something about how we didn't drop the ball throughout that time. We made sure we looked after clients. You know, I looked after the team, and you know, so starting strong, I think, is a really
I think
important thing.
capturing the judge's interest. I mean, that's the thing when I'm judging awards, and I don't judge the Best Businesswomen Awards, by the way. But I judge other awards, and
running, haven't you?
yeah, I do. But it wouldn't be the right ethical thing to do.
Yeah.
But I think I just want to be like excited about the entry and to read further. And I think some people just start off really flat, and you're a bit like, okay, can I get to the point here of what you're trying to say? So let's talk about how you've leveraged your award wins over the years. What have you done to, you know, harness the hard work of getting these awards in the first place?
Yeah, I think one thing is that internally everyone's loved it. So nobody would necessarily think of putting themselves up for an award, but because I've pushed that forwards, then everyone's kind of got this lovely kind of glow about it. So we've been able to go to the ceremonies, and then, you know, it's on people's CVs and that kind of thing. And the moment where we did win service excellence, and there were 10 of us, you know, we've got some lovely images from the night. You know, there's just laughing, you know, there's everyone's dancing kind of, it's really lovely. So first of all, there's that kind of internal boost. But then secondly, we've always been very, very sharp on capturing imagery from it and then sharing that on social media, or putting it, we'll do a blog post, so it's on the website for posterity. And then we've always done a thing where we update our email footer every 3 months or something. So we'll update that with just a line to say, you know, Sookio wins customer excellence, service excellence, and that kind of thing. So we've always been quite good at getting it out there, and capturing a lot of the buzz about it on the day. So images of us together as a team. You know, there was one that we went to at Duxford, the Imperial War Museum there. So there's us among the
Airplanes,
you know, and that kind of thing. So I think, yeah, for anyone watching this thinking, well, how to capitalize it, I think definitely on the day, get as much imagery as you can. So pictures of branding, pictures of you with your arms around other business owners, pictures of the food, you know, make sure pictures of you with the awards, just all of that, because then you realize the next day, you know, I've got images of me, I think it was after going to one of yours, the next day back in the office, putting the award on the shelf. You know, it's a real point of pride. So the more imagery you can capture around it, the better, I think.
Oh, absolutely. And I think people miss a trick if they don't do that. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm always saying to people, you know, the minute you arrive at a ceremony, just start the video rolling, start your camera clicking, and get as much as you possibly can out of it. And if we were to talk a little bit about your business and your industry, and you know, we have a really broad audience that listen to our podcast, mostly entrepreneurs. So what kind of business advice would you share with yourself from 16 years ago? You know, what sort of things have you learned over that 16-year period that you wish you'd known when you set up your business?
I think one thing is definitely that if you've got a difficult decision to make, the sooner you make it and move on, the better you'll feel. So difficult things, you know, problems don't go away, they don't resolve themselves. And one thing I would definitely do, and it sounds very not mundane, boring, unsexy, but I wish that I'd done it, is some sort of training in people management. Because I developed my business because I was really good at content and digital and social media and that kind of thing. I'm not an HR person. And so if I go, well, more recently, then I've become very good at probation periods and letting people go if I have to. And it's awful and it's terrible, you know, but you have to do it. And I've become very good at recognizing, okay, big girl pants on, you've got to have this difficult decision, this difficult conversation. Whereas earlier in my business career, you know, running an agency, then I did let a few things rumble on that now, boom, I'd go back, no way, you know. And in fact, as soon as I get the word tolerate in my head, where I think, why am I tolerating this? It's almost like this little signal to myself where I think, okay, no, it's gone. I've got to stop this. And if I could go back, then there's a few things that I would not have let fester for so long. But I think because I didn't have the framework or the mechanism or the approach, the sort of the inner toolkit to do it, then I didn't tackle it. I just sort of carried on feeling like, oh God, I hate this. Whereas now, there's a lot of things I can think of. I'd go back and I'd just say, no, sorry, you know, the way you're behaving, it's not what we do around here. Off you go. You know,
it's a good point, because a lot of people come to their business never having had management training. And therefore, you know, when you start employing staff, it's a whole different ball game, because you have to kind of make those tough decisions. And also, when employing people can be a tough decision in itself. So I think that's really good advice, because there's so much training out there that it's not difficult to go and get that training. So if you are listening to this and you're thinking of taking on your first employee, or you've got a couple already and you're thinking,
because
go
it's
and get some training.
hard, and there'll be problems that you just didn't expect. I mean, one thing I found tough during the pandemic period was this extra decision-making load on me all the time. So people were saying, well, when do we go back into the office? And I was thinking, I don't know. You know, I've never run a business in a pandemic before. This is the first time that I've actually owned, not owned, but really had my own premises. I don't know. And at one point, it was May in the second year of all the lockdowns. And someone said, well, what do we do? And I said, right, I've made a decision. And I said, my decision is I'm not making a decision until the 1st of September. Because I thought I haven't got I don't know. and that's a learned skill as well, to know when to say you don't know, and to say, well, I don't have the facts at my disposal to make a decision, instead of just winging it and then saying to everyone, yeah, do it this way, when actually deep down you think, well, I haven't got a clue.
No, we were in the same boat. You know, we
Yeah,
literally left the office, all started working remotely, but people actually wanted to be working together. I mean,
yeah,
we were very much a team that loved being in our, you know, in a
yeah,
group. And then it was in, out, in, out. Felt like the hokey cokey kind of
yeah,
thing, where we
yeah,
were constantly unsure of what to
yeah,
do. And yeah, it's a really difficult time looking back on it. And you know, we're remote now because I relocated to Somerset now.
yeah, yeah,
So no office anymore. But I do miss it actually. I do miss the
yeah,
office kind of banter and getting
yes.
together and
Yeah.
stuff
Now
like
that
that.
I've made this transition to one woman communications consultancy, then I have done away with all of these things that were filling up my diary,
Mm,
like one-to-ones and internal
yeah.
things and all of that. However, one thing, you don't know, I didn't have time to think through what it would be like kind of on the other side. I'm only
Mm,
a month or two in. But one thing I am missing is some of that banter.
yeah.
There are a lot of in jokes that we had that
Yeah.
no one else outside the organization would get.
No.
And I just want to sort of message someone on Slack and kind of say, oh yeah, this thing just happened. And I feel like, oh, I can't do that. But I'm still friends with everybody.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll just have to have like a, Sookio family WhatsApp
Get
group or something
together.
like
Yeah.
that.
Once in a while. Oh, well, it's been lovely talking to you today.
And you. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, and I wish you continued success with your business. I'm sure it'll continue to go from strength to strength, and your knowledge is incredible. So any business looking for communications expertise needs to have a chat with you, because you
Thank
really know
you.
your stuff and you've
Thank you.
mastered your craft. So thanks for joining us, and I wish you luck.
Thank you very much. Have a great
Thank you, and
day.
you.